What is the problem of evil? The problem of evil is a seeming dilemma both philosopher and theologian, both believer and unbeliever, and every common person have historically struggled with throughout history. The atheist uses the problem of evil to discount the existence of God. The problem of evil deals with an apparent contradiction that exists between an all-powerful, loving God and the existence of evil and suffering in human experience. Formally speaking, the problem of evil is expressed in the following syllogism. First, if God is all-powerful, all-loving, and morally perfect, He would not allow evil. Second, evil exists nonetheless. Third, so if God is all-powerful, all-loving, and morally perfect, He would not allow evil to exist. Fourth, evil does exist. Fifth, therefore God does not exist. Looking at the problem of evil syllogism, we can affirm that evil does exist and that God can destroy evil whenever He wishes. To assume God does not exist because evil does exist is begging the question. The Bible does affirm that an all-powerful, all-loving, and morally perfect God does exist while evil exists at the same time, Genesis 3 in the fall. The problem of evil overlooks the biblical truth that God does in fact allow evil to exist to achieve a greater good in the end while He is still all-powerful, all-loving, and perfectly good. God uses evil, without being the author of it, to bring about an ultimate good that will glorify Him in the end. For example, the evil the 11 brothers did to Joseph served to achieve God's greater good in the end, the deliverance of Egypt and Jacob's family from famine and starvation. See Genesis 50, 19, and 20. Evil came about because both Satan, the fallen angels with him, and man chose to misuse God-given free will to commit evil. To love requires the ability to freely choose. Otherwise, forced love is not real love if the ability to choose to love is not given. God did create the angels and man with the free ability to choose to love and obey their Creator. Conversely, that would include the freedom to disobey God and choose evil. So the problem of evil is not God's problem, but the problem of man when he disobeyed God and fell into the evil of sin. God's answer in Jesus Christ is a solution to the problem of sin, ruin, and evil. The justification for God allowing evil to exist so that His ultimate plan and purpose are accomplished is called a theodicy. God has allowed evil so that He can demonstrate the glory of His mercy, grace, and salvation through His Son, Jesus Christ. Paradoxically, God used the greatest evil of man when they crucified His Son to accomplish the greatest good, the redemption of the human race. The cross and resurrection of Jesus Christ is God's victorious answer to the problem of evil. Evil was thus allowed by the providence of God, and therefore with it a world that is not currently the best of all possible worlds, so that through the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ, the best of all possible worlds will be obtained at the conclusion of the present age. At that time, God will again decisively step into history to permanently remove any and every evil with the coming kingdom age of moral, physical, and rectified perfection. This happens when Jesus Christ will return to complete the defeat of evil that was legally declared at the cross and vouchsafed when He rose from the dead 3 days later. The cross and resurrection are the initial acts that guarantee this future reality. The resurrection of Jesus Christ from the dead is historical proof that God can exist as all-powerful, holy, good, and loving in spite of the existence of evil, because such an act demonstrates that from the very worst of evil in the crucifixion, the greatest good emerged. The resurrection forms the very basis for the eventual eradication of evil from the universe. And herein is the epitome of theodicy found. God is justified and man is rectified. Indeed, in the resurrection of Jesus Christ, the omnipotence, goodness, and all-encompassing love of God is supernaturally revealed over against the erroneous charges that evil exists at the expense and negation of God's existence as all-powerful, wholly good, and loving. At the cross, Christ took all that evil is in its full concentrated power on a multidimensional physical and supernatural level as mankind's vicarious representative, being God in human form, all-powerful, loving, and wholly good. Evil here was fully spent on him for us as he enveloped and endured all evil for all time, past, present, and future, in one moment of time on a hill outside Jerusalem. The problem of evil was formally confronted at the cross, and then answered and gloriously overcome by the resurrection. For as death is the optimum power of evil, the resurrection is God's ultimate victory over man's most pervasive and feared enemy, sin, which produced evil that resulted in death. Job foresaw the theodical value of the risen Redeemer who would justify, answer, and deliver him from the encumbering pervasion of evil. Job 19:25-27 says, "For I know that my Redeemer lives, and that he shall stand at the latter day upon the earth. And though after my skin worms destroy this body, yet in my flesh shall I see God, whom I shall see for myself, and my eyes shall behold, and not another, though my reins be consumed within me." This belief is not regulated to mere theory or by speculation, but is grounded in the historic person of Jesus Christ, who lived, died, and rose from death in Israel 2,000 years ago. He redeemed man from the old order of decay and death, characterized by universal evil, to a new world order of regeneration and resurrection life, characterized by the supremacy of divine good and righteousness. Currently, this awaits for those found faithful the second coming of the crucified and risen Savior. Then Christ will wipe away all tears from every face in a universe and world where the ravages of evil shall no longer be present, where there shall be no more death, sorrow, crying, and where there shall no more be pain, because the former things that characterize the current world order of evil will have passed away. Evil's full and final defeat is solely due to the living theodicy of God found in the cross and resurrection, wherein the ways of God are revealed, defended, and vindicated. This was accomplished in Jesus of Nazareth, who suffered the greatest evil on the cross for all the evil of man, and by his free redemptive sacrifice of love for all mankind, conquered this pernicious power by rising from the dead. For therein is the unanswerable, inscrutable problem of evil, conclusively confronted, defeated, and definitely answered for all time. And I have written extensively on how the cross and resurrection of Jesus Christ answer the problem of evil in my book called The Eclipse of Evil. This originally was my doctoral dissertation. If you would like to delve more deeper into this subject, then I would highly recommend you get my book, The Eclipse of Evil, available on Amazon.